Last week, MicroStrategy delivered their shareholders $544 million of value each day for a Bitcoin yield of 12.3%. MicroStrategy has been massively growing their Bitcoin per share. And despite the recent pullback, their stock is still up 475% year to date. And it could be on track to explode again before the end of the year. There's 2 catalysts and 2 dates that you need to mark on your calendar if you already haven't. One's in December and one's in March of 2025. In this video, we're going to show you exactly why these 2 dates are the most important catalysts coming up for MicroStrategy and could triple the stock price. The bears are calling it a Ponzi scheme now, but what will they say when MicroStrategy becomes one of the most profitable companies in the world in March of next year? Will they still call it a Ponzi scheme? Or will they see the MicroStrategy playbook that's been playing out in plain sight for what it actually is? Genius. This is Dante Cook with Bitcoin Simply. Let's go. Chances are, you're reheating a turkey sandwich with stuffing and gravy as you're watching this video right now. You probably didn't realize that November 29th is one of the most important days in MicroStrategy's infinite money glitch journey. You see, November 29th is the day that the Nasdaq 100 will take a snapshot to consider what companies will be in its index for the following month. Many Bitcoiners believe that MicroStrategy will finally be approved to be in the Nasdaq 100 starting on December 13th.
Really, the only way to guarantee yourself a spot is to make it into the top 75 by the time the snapshot's taken, because their methodology says the top 75 get in. From there, there's a little bit of leeway that they have. So say I was a company that got into the NASDAQ 100 last year, but this year I fell out and now I'm, 115th in the ranking. That company would still keep a spot in the NASDAQ 100. And that's just, they give all the companies that get in, they give them a little bit of flexibility for fluctuations, but you only get 1 year where that can happen, right? If the next year you still fall out of the 100, you're out, right? So companies are fighting for that last 25 slots and trying to fill those in. So with MicroStrategy, we look at, it's not great to bank on getting one of those bottom 25 slots because there's a lot of things that can work against you. You're not at an advantage there. So what we've always been pushing is get above 75, right? Become undeniable to the index and then get in.
As of this recording, MicroStrategy was in the top 50 in the NASDAQ 100 snapshot. But December 13th is the day that we'll know for sure whether they were included or not. And if it happens, some believe that MicroStrategy stock could double immediately. The effect of this is that there will be billions of dollars of more exposure into MicroStrategy than are already flowing into the asset right now. This will create a massive flywheel that no one is ready for. When MicroStrategy is set to break in with the big boys in the S&P 500 in 2025. For context, Palantir stock has almost doubled since it was included in the S&P 500 on September 23rd of this year. And when you go back into the history books, Tesla stock doubled the year after it was included in the S&P 500 from December of 2020 to December of 2021. And right now, based on all of the criteria that is necessary for MicroStrategy to be included in the S&P 500, well, it checks all of the boxes. It's a US-based company that drives 50% of its revenue from the US. The business is listed on a major US stock exchange. The business has a market cap of $8.2 billion. The business must have at least 250,000 shares traded in the prior 6 months. Check. The business must have at least 50% of outstanding shares available for public trading. Check. MicroStrategy is super liquid. The business must report positive earnings in its most recent quarter. Check. The sum of the business earnings in the previous 4 quarters must be positive. Here's where there's a bad mark on MicroStrategy's history, and part of it is because of the FASB accounting rules and standards. According to FASB standards, whenever they have an impairment or a loss on their Bitcoin position, they have to show that, and that reflects negatively on their net income. But based on the new FASB rules, MicroStrategy will not only have to mark down their Bitcoin holdings, but will be able to mark to market their Bitcoin gains on their balance sheet, showing positive net income and earnings for shareholders. And this starts in March of 2025. Michael Saylor said that this was one of the 3 final dominoes in order for Bitcoin's price to get to $5 million a coin. Bank custody, spot Bitcoin ETFs, and new FASB rules.
Look, first of all, it's going up by a factor of 10 whether they fix any of the stuff, right? It's going to it's going to be a grind up by a factor of 10 just because gold is broken and Bitcoin's going to replace gold. And now everybody in the universe knows they need a non-sovereign store of value in the form of a bearer instrument. So now they're looking, the amount of stories for last year, people said inflation may be coming. We're not sure. Now the mainstream narrative is flipped to inflation is here. You need an inflation hedge. So it's going to grind up to replace gold. It'll go to $500,000 a coin, regardless of whether they fix these things. But there are three things that are massive catalysts that cause an acceleration. And I don't think that those three things don't take us to 500,000. They take us to 5 million a coin, right? Those three things are a spot ETF where someone can go ahead and buy $100 million of Bitcoin by a security, an ETF security. I think that's one. Two is your bank is going to custody it for you and lend against it. And three is I can mark it up or mark it down on my balance sheet based on fair value. Pari passu. It'll be pari passu to the way I'd handle Apple stock, or at least that good. If you have property with fair value accounting, by the way, it becomes pari passu to the way you'd handle treasury bonds on a treasury balance sheet. Treasuries are better than stocks because treasury is property, whereas a stock is a security, and you're capped out at 40% of your balance sheet as security. So it would be a major, major breakthrough if you saw any of those three things. And I'll end with this one observation. I tweeted this last week, but I think it's very powerful. It's if the banks can hold this stuff on their balance sheet, then a whole new class of investors are going to buy it. People are going to put in billion and multi-billion-dollar orders to buy it as a treasury asset. Nobody's going to sell it because there's no reason to sell it if you can borrow against it at LIBOR plus or at SOFR plus 50 basis points. Right, so you'll be borrowing against Bitcoin at SOFR plus 50 or SOFR plus 100 basis points. No one's ever going to sell it, and then, as I joked, you won't be able to afford it. I mean, you will be able to afford it, but everybody gets Bitcoin at the price they deserve. When the banks normalize it, and you can draw a $100 million credit line at 100 basis points from an FDIC insured bank, at that point, right, we're going to blow through the market cap of gold by a factor of 10.
Right.
So I think the best thing is those three things are highly likely to happen. I don't know if they happen in 36 months or 24 months or 12 months, but I would be shocked if it's more than 36 months. And I hope, guys, it doesn't happen in 12 months because my view is the longer it takes, the more progressive the grind, the more time I have to buy more of it.
Speaking of self-custody, hearing us talk about MicroStrategy and spot Bitcoin ETFs is great. But here on this show, we care about people learning about real Bitcoin and buying real Bitcoin and taking ownership of their coins through self-custody. We're serious about helping you buy real Bitcoin and to protect it the right way. And that's precisely why we've partnered with the Bitcoin Way. Members of their team will walk you through proper 100% self-custody step by step so you can remove all counterparty risk, stop sharing keys with third parties, and ensure you protect your generational wealth the right way. Go to thebitcoinway.com and schedule a free 30-minute consultation with their team. Based on previous quarters' performances and their Bitcoin treasury holdings, MicroStrategy will be showing billions of dollars in profit in Q1 of 2025. And if that's the case, MicroStrategy will not just be a profitable company. It will likely be one of the most profitable companies in the S&P 500, and it will be one of the top 100 largest traded U.S. public equities. Back in September, punter Jeff said that MicroStrategy would show a $9.2 billion profit in Q1 based upon these new FASB rules. But right now, if you go to the sailortracker.com, they're showing a profit in their Bitcoin holdings of $15 billion. And these are just catalysts that are securities-based or stock market-based for MicroStrategy. This doesn't even consider the fact that we are still in a Bitcoin bull market, a bull market in which the longest-running Bitcoin hedge fund manager, Dan Moorhead from Pantera Capital, says that he believes that Bitcoin's next stop is $745,000 per coin, or $15 trillion.
You bet your life it's not going to zero?
I used to tell people it could definitely go to zero to try and be, conservative. I don't think it's possible now. 50 million people in the U.S. own it, 300 million people globally. BlackRock and Fidelity are selling it. It really has reached escape velocity.
But you're 745,000. I mean, I heard 13 million from Michael Saylor the other day.
I think it can go. It's going up 3 orders of magnitude since we launched our fund. I think it could go up a fourth. And that puts it at 15 trillion market cap, which it still seems relatively small versus 500 trillion of financial assets. That's doable.
If this happens, what do you think the price of MicroStrategy will be? Will it double? Triple? Let us know in the comments. But before we go, I wanted to invite you to the Bitcoin event of the year at the BitBlockBoom conference in Dallas, Texas. From April 3rd through April 6th, you'll be able to hang out with other MicroStrategy and Michael Saylor fans, as well as listen to some of your favorite voices and speakers in Bitcoin, and Parker Lewis, Guy Swan, Marty Bent, Bob Burnett, and people like me. You'll get access to workshops for beginners where you can learn how to buy your first Bitcoin, set up a node, or even learn how to get into mining. You'll also have access to exclusive parties and events like our Saturday night casino event. Head over to bitblockboom.com and use the promo code BBB21 to get $100 off your ticket. That's the code BBB21 to get $100 off your ticket. If you like these videos, don't forget to subscribe, share, and like them. Hit that notification bell for more Bitcoin content. This is Dante Cook with Bitcoin Simply. See you next week.